I don't think Guy needs an explanation. I'm certainly not going to read some long blurb about all the things that he's famous for. I can see that everyone is here, so that speaks for itself. But I do want to know, he is now the evangelist at Canva. Here's the logo. Why?
Yeah. Why? Why am I the evangelist at Canva?
Yep.
I am pretty active in social media.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's kind of an understatement. And I think one of the keys to great posts in social media is great graphics. And so someone who helped me with my graphics, named Peg Fitzpatrick, found this site called Canva. And what Canva enables you to do is create really great graphics for social media or for your email or posters, your blog, whatever. And it's really just sort of a fast, free, easy way to create great graphics. And I've noticed that if you put great graphics on your social media, you get about twice the action. And so I love the product, and they tweeted me one day and said, "We see that you use Canva. Would you like to learn more about our company?" And I just love the company. It's a Sydney-based company. And please all try Canva, C-A-N-V-A.
Like all at the same time and crash the site?
Yeah. I want you to all sign up, okay? So I can say I signed up 2,000 people today. Yeah, okay? How many? Everybody, raise your hand. Raise your hand. I promise to try Canva.
Okay, great.
All right,
go for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so end of ad. My name is Guy Kawasaki. I'll tell you a little bit more about my background before I begin. I was the evangelist for Apple. This is back in the 80s, before many of you were born. And I worked in the Macintosh division, and as the evangelist of the Macintosh division, my job was to convince people to write Mac software. Of course, this meant that I worked for Steve Jobs, which was a very interesting experience, using the word interesting very loosely. And back then, I'd say the Macintosh division was probably the largest collection of egomaniacs in the history of Silicon Valley. We held that record for about 30 years. Facebook just broke that record, but we held it. And we had a very special time. Because we worked for Steve, we had unlimited supplies of fresh orange juice. Unlimited supplies of fresh orange juice was a big deal back then. Now, you have to have a massage and a bus and, free washing and haircuts and everything. But back then, free juice was a big deal. We had this great travel policy that any flight over 2 hours qualified for first class. And I interpreted that rule that the moment you leave your apartment is when the clock starts. So I flew first class from San Francisco to Monterey. I had a great time. After the Macintosh division, I started several software companies. I became a writer and a speaker. I subsequently returned to Apple once as chief evangelist. This is when Apple was supposed to die in the 1995 timeframe. And then I left that to start Garage.com, which is a boutique investment bank and venture capitalist. And now I became a writer and a speaker again, and now I'm chief evangelist of Canva. So I've been a writer, speaker, large company employee, entrepreneur, venture capitalist. That's about it. I'm also a father. I have 4 children, which is my primary duty in life. So I'm going to give you a talk today about the top 10 mistakes of entrepreneurs. This is based on my experience as an investor as well as an entrepreneur. I use the top 10 format because in the past 30 years, I've seen many, many high-tech speakers. And I tell you, there are 2 key points about most high-tech speakers. First, they suck. You may witness that, some of this through the conference. And second, they go long, which is a deadly combination. If you suck and you go short, it's okay. And if you're great and you go long, it's okay. But if you suck and go long, that's a bad combination. It's like being stupid and arrogant. And so I just never wanted people to wonder how much longer my speech will go. So that's why I use a top 10 format. So I have 10 points so you know how long this is going to last. And with that, speaking of that, we're so far off on time. What time am I supposed to end? Hello? You don't know? I will let you know. Okay. So I will make it on time. So the top 10 mistakes of entrepreneurs that I have noticed people make and I have also made. And at the end of this presentation, I hope you'll see the top 10 mistakes. I hope you won't make these mistakes. At least I hope you make new mistakes, okay? Because that's very important. So, number 1 mistake is Oh, so they just interrupted my presentation to tell me I have 30 minutes. So, okay, I got it. You could have just shouted that out. Now, will this work? All right. So, mistake number one. This is the classic mistake where you take a big number and you say, conservatively speaking, worst case, how hard could it be to get 1% of this market? So, let me walk you through how this pitch is made. Let's say you're the founder of pets.com. Okay, you're going to revolutionize pet food business. You're going to get dead cows in cans to dogs faster and cheaper than anybody else in the history of man. All right. So the way it works is 300 million Americans, 1 in 4 owns a dog, 75 million dogs. Each dog eats 2 cans of dog food per day, 150 million cans of dog food per day. Unlike B2B, this is B2C. Actually, it's B2D, right? So dogs eat 365 days a year. They don't take any weekends off. All right, so we have 150 million cans of dog food per day, total addressable market. We multiply that big number by 1%. We come up with 1.5 million cans of dog food per day. Conservatively speaking, worst case with my rock star programmers, okay? And you go from there. And I have never, ever seen this work out. This top-down analysis just doesn't work. And so what I want you to do is always work from the bottom, which is calculate from the bottom up. So on one hand, you go from 300 million Americans to 75 million dog owners to 2 cans of dog food per day, which is 150 million cans of dog food per day. All right? And take 1% of that, it's 1.5 million. The way you should really do this is have some kind of realistic expectation that, okay, so let's say we create our site, mypets.com. And reasonably speaking, we can get, 10,000 unique visitors a month. Of those 10,000 unique visitors, let's say 1,000 buy some dog food. 1,000 people buy dog food, and they buy, 10 each. So now we're talking about 10,000 cans of dog food. Whereas before, we were talking about 150,000 cans of dog food per day. And honestly, when you look at your results, it's going to be much closer to 10,000 cans per month than 150,000 cans per day. And so this is very important that you calculate from the bottom up. How many people can you reasonably expect to go to your website? Of those uniques who go to your website, how many will really buy the dog food? I guarantee you it is not going to be the same number you get by taking 1% of a large number. Okay? Trust me, do it from the bottom up. The next thing is to scale too fast. The way this works is this. So, you have figured out that you have rock star programmers. And these rock star programs, how many of you believe you have rock star programmers? Right, okay? So everybody believes they have rock star programmers. Now, these programmers you happen to meet because you both got drunk on the same weekend when you started the company, right? That was the due diligence you performed. And so, since they took a class in Java and you haven't, they're the rock star. Okay, I understand that. So the way this works is you say, all right, so my co-founder, my team, they're a bunch of rock stars. So they say they're going to deliver the software in 3 months, and so they will. Because for the first time in the history of man, these programmers are going to deliver on time. All right? Okay. Work with me here. All right, so we got these rockstar programmers. They're going to deliver 3 months. And in 3 months, conservatively speaking, we expect to sell 1.5 million cans of dog food per day, conservatively speaking. Now, the worst possible thing could be if the owners of the dogs come to the website and the website is not functional. If the website can't handle this conservative 1.5 million transactions per day. And so we need to scale. We need to have co-location. We need to have it so that, man, if there's an earthquake in Seattle, at Amazon, at S3, at Rackspace in San Antonio, we need several locations all over the world because there's nothing worse than disappointing our customers. So we need to have several locations. We need to have several IT staff. We need 24/7 by 365 coverage. We need customer service people because God help you, if you order lamb and instead comes chicken for your dog, it's going to be all kinds of problems. And because we're so confident in our rockstar team, we need to build this infrastructure now, okay? So you start building your infrastructure. Well, 3 months go by, and guess what? Your rockstar programmers are late. To your utter amazement, they are late. And so now, you have this board meeting, you go to the directors, and you say, well, we're late, but we've invested so much in our rockstar infrastructure. We have these great support people. We've trained them on how to support the selling of dog food. And yes, our programmers are late, but they assure me that they will meet the next deadline. And so it would be a stupid waste of time and resources to lay off our rockstar support people, because in another 3 months, when my rockstar programmers say they're going to deliver, we're going to have to hire new people and train them all over again. So let's just keep them. Let's just invest in people. Okay? Now, 3 months go by again, and still your rockstar programmers have not delivered. And we see this happening over and over again. And I would like to offer you a different perspective. The way to scale is to eat what you kill, which is when you actually have 1.5 million cans of dog food being sold per day, that's when you start to scale to sell to 1.5 million cans of dog food a day. Not 3 months in advance, not 6 months in advance, not 9 months in advance, because you have so much confidence that your programmers will deliver and that your marketing will establish your company as the de facto place to buy dead cows in cans. All right? So eat what you kill. Don't plan to cook and clean and serve what you think you're going to do. In my career, I have never encountered a situation where a company had problems because it could not handle all the business it had. For once in my career, please God, give me that problem. In almost every other case, the forecasts were so off, so late, that we had such infrastructure built up for no good reason. Eat what you kill. The next mistake we see is that entrepreneurs love to form partnerships, right? And I'll tell you, just between you and I think partnerships are bullshit. That the reason why you say partnership is because you cannot say revenue, right? So since you're short of revenue, you say, oh, but we have this great partnership with the Humane Society. We have this great partnership with the ASPCA. We have this great partnership with, dogs.com. It's because you don't have revenue. If you had revenue, you would never use the partnership word. Because partnership is bullshit. Partnership is when you don't have revenue. So I'm not saying you should not seek any revenue, seek any partnerships, but I'm just telling you that the right focus for you is sales. If you remember nothing else from this presentation, remember this one sentence. I'm not even sure it's grammatically correct, but sales fixes everything. Seriously, everything. If you have sales, you don't have to bullshit people about having partnerships. You don't have to talk about your strategic focus. You don't have to talk about your vision. All you have to say is, this is how many sales we have. If you have sales, your investors will leave you alone because they have 9 other companies in their portfolio where they are only focusing on partnerships, okay? They're triaging all these other companies. You are the only company in this VC's portfolio that has sales. They're going to leave you alone. And that's what you want. You want their money. You want them to leave you alone. So focus on sales. When you have sales, you have revenue. When you have revenue, you have cash flow. When you have cash flow, you can stay in the game. Craig Johnson, a dear friend of ours who passed away, he had a great saying that the leading cause of failure in Silicon Valley of tech startups is death. Now, that sounds like kind of a circular reasoning, but what he's saying is that when you run out of money and you die, you failed. But if you have not run out of money, you can still, using the P word, pivot. But if you don't have money, you cannot pivot. Focus on sales. Not even profit, sales. Focus. As long as you have sales, you have a story to tell. Mistake number 4. Mistake number 4 is to focus on the pitch. That is, the most important thing you have to do, the greatest priority you have is perfecting your pitch. So you boot PowerPoint, and you spend hours and hours. You hire outside consultants. You do this great pitch because you think that the pitch is the key to the success of your company. I would disagree. I think what you should do is focus on your prototype. That is your website, your software, your hardware, your Kickstarter project, your Indiegogo project, whatever it is the manifestation of what you're actually doing. Because in a perfect world, you would never have to pitch. And the way you get to this perfect world is you build a prototype. And the prototype, to your utter amazement, by your rock star co-founder, is so good that, no kidding, the dogs start eating the food, right? And so you're so busy fixing the prototype, so busy monetizing the traffic, so busy doing all these other things that you have no time to create a pitch. The most important piece of software for you is not anything in Microsoft Office. It is not PowerPoint for the pitch. It is not Excel for the financial plan. It is not Word for the business plan. The most important software is BB Edit, or it's a C compiler, or an assembler, or a PHP, or something, but it is not Microsoft Office. Focus on the prototype. Next mistake. I think most entrepreneurs use far too many slides. So how many of you have a presentation that's 15 slides or less? Okay, and how many of you have 15 or more? Everybody else? Or you just don't want to admit it? Okay, so here's my advice. My advice is what's called the Guy Kawasaki 10-20-30 rule. The 10-20-30 rule is that the optimal number of slides in a PowerPoint presentation is 10. 10. You'll be lucky to communicate 10 ideas in a pitch. 10. Yes, you will eventually have to do a pitch, but when you do it, after you prototype, try to keep it down to 10. 10 slides should do it. The 20 part of the 10-20-30 rule is that you should be able to give these 10 slides in 20 minutes. Now, you might ask why. Well, yes, I realize that most meetings are 60 minutes, but let's face it, to this day, roughly 90% of the world uses Windows laptop. And for those of you who use Windows laptop, you know that in a 60-minute meeting, you need 40 minutes to make it work with the projector. If the whole world used Macintosh laptops, this would be the 10-60-30 rule, okay? So if you're using a Windows laptop, figure you need 40 minutes. That's why I had to dumb down this rule. Okay? Now the 30 is the font size. I think the ideal font size for a PowerPoint presentation is 30 points. If you use 30 points, by definition, it forces you to truly put the essence of the idea on each slide. You cannot put a lot of text. You cannot have graphics that are illegible. 30 points. A very good rule of thumb is that you should find out who the oldest person is in your audience, divide his or her age by 2. So when you go up to Sandhill and you pitch to these 60-year-old, tall, white, old men, 60 divided by 30 is 2, right? Maybe there's younger VCs, so they're 50 years old. 50 divided by 2 is 25. Someday you may be pitching, God help you, a 16-year-old VC, right? That day, use the 8-point font. But until that day, please, 10 slides, 20-minute pitch, 30-point font. In this pitch, may I give you one more side rule? That in the first 30 seconds, you should explain what the hell you do. I think most people break this rule. And the reason why is because they attend conferences like this, and they hear venture capitalists, and the venture capitalists say, we invest in teams. We believe that if we invest in A players, even if their first permutation of their idea is wrong, they are such good people that they will fix that. So we invest in teams. We don't invest in technologies because technologies can come and go. We don't invest in markets because we're never sure about the size of a market. We invest in people. We love our entrepreneurs. We're there for our entrepreneurs. We roll up our sleeves for our entrepreneurs. Okay, so that's what every VC says. So you as entrepreneurs, you internalize this. So you believe when you meet venture capitalists, the first thing you should talk about is your team. And unfortunately, the ramification of this is because so many of you are so young, you don't have a proven team yet. And so you have to search for details. So you start with the moment you were born. And you talk about the preschool you went to, how it was Montessori. So you were a self-actualizer from the very beginning. While everybody else in public school was going through rote drill and practice, you were in Montessori and you created your own crayon animals. And you were always creative and you worked harder. And then you went to this private school and then you went to Dartmouth and you majored in computer science. And during the summer you interned for Goldman Sachs. And then you came out here and you worked for Microsoft and you took every .NET class that was offered. And you go through this founder by founder and 15 minutes later, everybody else in the room is thinking, what the hell does this team do? Is it hardware? Is it software? What is it that they do? Is it a service? So I think what you need to do is, in the first 30 seconds, explain what you do. Because who you are, your background, it really doesn't matter until you explain what you do. Because until you explain what you do, people are going to be sitting there saying, why did I meet with this company? Like, what do they do? They don't care that your great-great-great-grandparents came over on the Mayflower. They don't care if your founder's team came over in the last helicopter that left South Vietnam, okay? They don't care about all that bullshit. They want to know what you do. Get to that in what you do in 30 seconds. Mistake number 6. Mistake number 6 is this theoretical desire to make serial progress. So the way it works is you say, I'll do funding. After funding, I'll get the team. After the team, we'll make the prototype. After the prototype, we'll sell the prototype. After we sell the prototype, we'll revise the prototype. After we revise the prototype, we'll start collecting money. Okay? So this is a very laid out serial process. Money, team, prototype, sales, collection. I will make the case that entrepreneurship, particularly tech entrepreneurship, is not a serial process. It is a parallel process. And you need to come to grips with that this is not a perfect world where you can focus intensely on raising money, close quickly, focus intensely on building the team, close quickly, focus intensely on building the prototype, close quickly, focus intensely on sales, and close quickly. The truth of the matter is that in the real world, the way it works is you are raising money, prototyping, recruiting, selling, servicing, supporting, and God help you, partnering, all at the same time. And so you have to realize that this is how the world works. As an author, I'll tell you, many authors believe that the way it should work is I'll write the book, I'll focus on writing the book, and then I'll focus on marketing the book. For an author, the truth is, while you are writing the book, you must also build your marketing platform. It's a simultaneous thing. You have to push both things down the path. You need to finish your book while in parallel, you're also building your social media platform. Because if you wait till your book is done to build your social media platform, it will be too late to build the social media platform. It takes 6 to 12 months to build the social media platform. The same thing is true for technology, that you truly will have to be raising money, making the prototype, starting the marketing, recruiting, all of this at once. Life is I almost said that wrong. Life is a parallel process. 7th mistake is trying to retain control. The manifestation of this is because many entrepreneurs know a little bit too much math. And the math they think is that if all of the founders add up to more than 51%, they still control the company. Because they believe when it comes down to decisions in a board meeting, there's going to be a vote, and it's going to be 51-49, and that's how decisions are made. Okay? Because it's a democracy, and everybody votes, and everybody has the same amount of, voice based on their percentage of ownership. So they believe as long as they own 51%, they control the company. They also believe that it is extremely important to fight dilution. That if one company gives you a $3 million pre-money and another company gives you a $4 million pre-money, you should go with the $4 million pre-money because that's going to mean so much less dilution. My observation is that it never comes down to that. In the first regard, decisions are not made in board meetings by votes. In board meetings, almost every decision is unanimous. I've never seen a decision, should we do this or not? Should we hire this person or not? Let's decide. Let's have a roll call vote. 51-49, we voted to hire that CTO. It just doesn't work like that. Also, even if you add up to 51%, the fact of the matter is, as soon as you take outside capital, you are working for the investor. Just come to grips with that. Even if the investor owns 10% of your company, you are working for the investor. That's just how it is. Get that through your head. That's how it works. When you take outside money, you have taken on a moral responsibility, and it is to make the outside investor more money. It is not to preserve your equity. And as far as dilution, if you look at how much the founders of these huge tech companies currently own, they're single-digit percentage, if they're lucky. And I'll tell you something, it is much better to own 1% of Google than 16% of some piece of shit company that you preserved your control. Trust me when I tell you that. It is just math. And so a nice way of saying this is, it's not about retaining control. It is about making a bigger pie. Because when the pie is bigger, a small percentage of a bigger pie is much better than a big percentage of a little cookie, okay? Make the bigger pie. The world can be divided into two kinds of people. There are eaters and bakers, okay? An eater sees the world as a zero-sum game. Set pie. The more you eat of the pie, the less I have of the pie. Bakers don't see the world at all like that. Bakers see the world as, I can bake a bigger pie. I can bake another pie. I can bake cookies. I can bake cakes. Bakers are the people who are successful as entrepreneurs because they do not see the world as a zero-sum game. They believe that everybody can be successful. Think like a baker, not an eater. The eighth mistake is to use patents for defensibility. That somewhere along the line you have developed this incredible reliance upon the U.S. patent system to protect you. That you will file this patent quickly, it'll get through, and then you'll have the might of the legal world upon your side. And when some multi-billion-dollar company infringes on your patent, you're going to take them to court, and you're going to beat them in a small amount of time and get significant damages, okay? You are on crack if you believe that's how this world works. The optimal number of times that you should say the word patent in a presentation is 1. You just say, we have patented what we believe is proprietary technology. That's it. If you say any more than that, a sophisticated investor will think, clueless person thinks he's going to outsue Microsoft. He's going to take Microsoft to court and out-litigate them because we're going to fund them to hire lawyers and do a 10-year patent fight, okay? It doesn't, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't file the patent. Patent could be very valuable if you're acquired someday. File the patent, God bless you. But don't believe that's what makes you defensible, because it is too expensive and too long for you to use that truly as a weapon for defensibility. Another good reason, honestly, to file a patent is because it will impress your parents. Really. Maybe it's just an Asian thing, okay? But I'm telling you, Asian parents are really impressed when they can say, my son, my daughter has a patent. That's worth 10 grand right there, okay? So file it, but just in your mind, the way you defend a company is success, that you scaled, that you became successful. I would much rather have a company that's growing than a company that has a lot of patents, okay? File them, but don't depend on them, right? Use success for your defensibility. Number 9 is a mistake, which is to hire in your own image. That is, if you're an engineer, you hire other engineers, right? If you are male, white, Ivy League, you hire male, white, Ivy League. That you hire people that were in your frat or in your sorority because you have this common bond, right? I think that's a huge mistake. That really what you want to do is you want to hire to complement your skills. So if you are the engineer, you need to hire a salesperson. If you are young, you need to hire an adult, right? Says the guy with the white hair. Yeah. And if you're male, you need to hire women. Frankly, you should hire almost all women because women are much better judges of businesses than men, but that's a different discussion. So, I can see that resonates with this audience. Let me tell you why. I'll tell you my theory. I'll go into greater detail. For example, when you have an idea for a company and you're seeking feedback, I think you should never ask a man. And the reason why is if you ask a man, men, I believe, have deep in our DNA a desire to kill things, okay? By definition, men want to kill things. We want to kill other people. We want to kill plants. We want to kill animals. We want to kill the environment. It's in our DNA. It's in our DNA. We cannot help it. We are hunters, okay? And so when you ask a man, should I start a company to kill Google? Should I start a company to kill Microsoft? Should I hire a company to kill Twitter or to kill Genentech or to kill YouTube? Every man is going to say, yeah, let's kill that company. Whereas women do not have this fundamental genetic flaw. And so when you ask a woman, should I start a company to kill Google? A woman is much more likely to tell you, you know, people do not use a search engine because they want to hurt Google. They use a search engine because they want to find better results. So you shouldn't start a company to kill Google. You should start a company to more efficiently democratize information. That is a much better answer. So that's why you should always ask women what they think about ideas, not men. Okay? So my recommendation here, I don't know how I got off on that segue, is to hire people who complement you. You know, Steve Jobs, the evangelist, had Steve Woz, the engineer. Fundamentally, you need two kinds of people in a company. You need someone who can make it and someone who could sell it. If everybody in the company can make it, nobody can sell it. And if everybody in the company can sell, they won't have anything to sell because there's nobody to make, okay? Fundamentally, you need someone who can make, someone who can sell. You need people who are different from you. Different in terms of age, expertise, gender, sexual orientation, race, whatever. Just get some diversity, okay? Get diverse. Number 10. Number 10 is this concept that we're going to be best buddies with our investors. So this is how this story shakes out. After you get funded, you go through this period where you say, yeah, I really like our investors. I talk with them. They say they invest in people. And they're going to roll up their sleeves. They're going to open up their Rolodex. They're going to be there for us. And unlike any other venture capitalist, unlike any other investor, they like us. And we like them. We're friends. We're going to go play golf together. You know, we're going to go to the Rosewood Hotel together. We're just going to hang out together. May I suggest to you that you really don't need to befriend your investors, okay? I'm not saying you should be hostile with them, okay? But I don't think you should set it as your goal to be their buddies. Because fundamentally, you are a means to an end. As long as you understand that, you're a means to an end. You're a means of getting $1 to be $20. That's it. That's how you should look at life. And, this, you know, I mean, it sounds kind of depressing and all that, but this is a much healthier attitude than we're best buddies. Don't be best buddies. Instead, my recommendation, I need to go back one. My recommendation is, can you take me back one? Yes. My recommendation is that you exceed their expectations. It is not about being friends. It is about you say you're going to do such and you do such and such. If you say you're going to do $1 million in the first quarter, do $1 million. Even better, do $1,250,000. You should always be meeting or exceeding your expectations. Am I suggesting that you sandbag? I am, actually. I am. Now, this is a very tricky thing, because if you sandbag too much, what happens if you put up such a low number that you're no longer interesting, right? So, every spreadsheet I've ever seen for startup always shows that in year 5, it's doing $100 million. It doesn't matter if it's dog food, enterprise software, social media website, tools, doesn't matter, everything, because you all bought the same Excel template, okay? But really, seriously, what you need to do is exceed your expectations. If you exceed your expectation, particularly in sales, sales fixes everything, that is the key. Then you don't have to be friends. You don't have to act like friends. You can just have this arm's length transaction. You invested, I am delivering. Exceed expectations. Those are my top 10 mistakes of entrepreneurs. I admit I have made many of those mistakes myself. That's the mistakes that I've noticed people make. The second part of each presentation was, how I think you can avoid that. And I'm going to show you one last screen. We started off this conversation with why I joined Canva. So this is a screen from Canva. Basically, Canva is a fast, free, and easy online graphics tool. Use an editor like this to create great graphics. And I just want you to all try it. So if you go to this page, bit.ly/guycanva, it's a special promotional page where you'll be given $10 off in terms of all the stock photography and vector graphics that you can use. So if you have any need for graphics, I just ask you to try Canva. End of ad for Canva. I just want to leave you with this thought about, I think that the richest vein for successful startups is when two guys in a garage, two gals in a garage, a guy and a gal in a garage, they create a product that they themselves want to use. Woz and Jobs create the computer they want to use, right? Larry and Sergey create the search engine they want to use. And when that happens, it's because you want to make meaning. That is, you want to change the world. You want to have a personal computer. You want to democratize personal computing. Or you want to democratize information if you're Google. Or if you're Pierre Omidyar, you want to democratize commerce. So you don't have to be Amazon or Target or Walmart to sell stuff online. You can be eBay. Okay. 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 Thank you for interrupting my train of thought. So the key here is to make meaning. To make meaning. If you make meaning, I think that one of the natural consequences of making meaning is that you also make money. But if you start your company with the primary purpose of making money, I think that is a very, very bad way to begin. Because if you don't make money quickly, and if you don't pay off your people that you've attracted under this kind of philosophy, they will leave you. They will look for greener passages. The companies that are truly successful started off with a romantic and perhaps even naive desire to change the world. And if you change the world and make meaning, you will be rewarded. So I suggest to you that the best path for this is to decide to make meaning, to make the world a better place. And that is the best thing you can do. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for your speech. So I have a question. In your book, you're talking about the uniqueness and the valuable perspective of the product project. So as a startup, try to shoot for the right corner where you have both uniqueness and valuable.
Yes.
Is there a different approach between shooting for that goal for the own existing market and the new market that's not exist today yet? Can you please explain?
Okay, so what this gentleman is asking, I have this theory that all the marketing you need to know can be explained in a very simple graph. The vertical axis measures your degree of uniqueness or differentiation. The horizontal axis measures the value, okay? So value on the horizontal, so if you're far to the right, you're very valuable. If you're high, you're very differentiated, you're unique. This is a 2x2 matrix. If any of you work for McKinsey, you know you want to be in the upper right-hand corner, right? I mean, McKinsey will charge you $5 million to tell you that, but okay. So you want to be in the upper right-hand corner. So let's go through all corners of this. This is a very important concept in marketing. So the bottom right-hand corner, that's where you're valuable but not unique. For example, you slap the same operating system on the same hardware. You can make a lot of money there. Ask Michael Dell. But you always have to compete on price. Same operating system, same hardware, you have to compete on price. The upper left-hand corner, that's where you're not valuable at all, but you are unique. Right? You're the only company that does this thing that has no value. You own this market. Doesn't exist, but you own the market. The bottom left-hand corner is where you're neither unique nor valuable. That, I would say, is the .com corner. Because in the .com corner, you had companies like Pets.com that tried to sell you dog food online, but at the end of the day, it wasn't a very valuable service because even though you got a discount at the top line on the dog food, by the time you added shipping and handling, it was the same price. And then you had to be at home so that when UPS dropped off the dead cow in the can, somebody was home, right? So it was not valuable. Then people like me, we saw, well, Kleiner Perkins has Pets.com and Sequoia has Pets.com, so we need our Pets.com in this portfolio because it's a freaking humongous market. 300 million Americans, 1 in 4 owns a dog, 75 million dogs, 2 cans of dog food per day, 150 million cans of dog food per day, total addressable market. How hard could it be to get 1% of that with my rock star programmers? So that's why there was Pets.com, MyPets.com, ePets.com, iPets.com, LastMinutePets.com. That's the worst corner. You're not valuable and you're not unique. So the action, all of marketing, truly all of marketing, is in the upper right-hand corner. And in that upper right-hand corner, guess what? You are unique and valuable. So let's talk about some examples of unique and value. This is a Breitling emergency watch, okay? This Breitling emergency watch, if I unscrew this knob and pull it out, it starts broadcasting an emergency signal at 121.5 megahertz. That is the bandwidth that airplanes see other airplanes in trouble. This is an emergency bandwidth. This is one of the few watches. If I were a skier and I got lost, if I were a sailor and I got lost, if I were a firefighter and got stuck in the forest, if I pulled this out, the Coast Guard would get the signal, Kevin Costner would be rescuing me, okay? This watch is unique and valuable. It's unique and valuable. If you are in that kind of life-threatening situations, this watch could save your life. Not many watches can do that. Another example, when the smart car first came to America, all of us have cars. All of us can park parallel to the curb, right? If there's lots of parking, you could park a Suburban parallel to the curb. But when there's not a lot of parking, a smart car is a unique and valuable solution because a smart car can park perpendicular to the curb. It's very, very different. I live in Atherton. I live a couple miles from here, and I go to this movie theater right here. This is Century 20. Okay? And I love movies. I love movies. My kids love movies. I mean, we have 4 TiVos in our house. That's how much we love video. And so this theater, which is the theater we go to, the only way that I can buy a ticket and print it at home is Fandango. And if you have 4 children and you're taking them to the movie, trust me when I tell you, you really want to know before you go that you have a ticket. Opening of Superman, opening of Spider-Man. You don't want to take 4 kids, get them to the theater and find out it's sold out. You don't even want to get there and find out there's a long line. So with Fandango, I can buy and print the ticket at home. It's the only way I can do it. I have to pay $1.50 more per ticket, but it's worth it to me because it is unique. It's the only way I can do it, and it saves me standing in line and worrying if the movie is sold out. 3 examples of what I consider unique and valuable. When Apple first came out with the iPod, it was unique and valuable. Unique in the sense that it had a user interface that mere mortals could navigate. It was also unique in the fact that for 99 cents, you could buy legally, cleanly, easy a song. You could not do that any other way. It was unique and valuable. So I believe that all of marketing comes down to that one simple graph. If you're an engineer, you need to make a product that is unique and valuable. And if you're marketing, you need to communicate and convince the world that what you have is unique and valuable. Everything is that 2x2 matrix. Do we have time for more? I don't. One more. Okay. Yes. I cannot hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Lisa. I'm a tech reporter for Sohu.com. So my question is, you're also a writer yourself. What do you see as the common mistakes from, reporters?
Oh, common mistakes from reporters?
Yeah, writing about startups and technology.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wow, this could be a long answer. Okay, I just finished a year of working for the CEO of Motorola. And so I knew exactly what was going on in Motorola. Every product, every launch, everything. And I read the reports of what journalists are saying Motorola is doing, and they are this far apart. Okay, like it's not even close to being true. And now, like 2 weeks ago, we read that according to Wired and TechCrunch, Twitter is dead, right? That, instead of signups going up 25% last quarter, they went up 22%. So Twitter is dead because it's going up less fast, right? And I look at those reports and I say, what the hell are you guys thinking? Like, how did you make this up? Like, what convinced you that Twitter is dead because some random number that some, Forbes blog management trainee intern wrote this and all of a sudden it's being taken as gospel truth? And, do you have any intelligence about you that perhaps that it's not as cut and dry? And then I read like, okay, so Apple is going to buy Beats. Well, I just cannot wrap my mind around like, why would Apple buy Beats? Is it because Tim Cook wants to hang out at rappers? Is it because, please, reporters, don't tell me that it's strategic because Apple wants to get better headphones. This cannot be. I'm an Android user. Okay, how many use Android here? Yeah. Right, so real men use Android. All right, so I didn't leave iOS because Android had better headphones. Really, I didn't do it. And I'm not going to return to iOS because iOS has better headphones. So it cannot be the headphones. Could it be wearables? Could it be that they have this Spotify, music service? And I just asked myself, so are you trying to tell me that Apple needs the Beats brand? Cannot be. It cannot be. Does Apple need the engineering prowess of Beats to make better headphones? This thing that was created in 1950? No, can be true. Does Apple need Beats to make a music streaming service? How can this be? So I just cannot find this real reason for buying Beats. But then I read the reports and all these journalists say, well, this is so strategic, it's so smart, Apple is gaining this engineering prowess, they're getting this consumer brand. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? So I'm sorry you asked this question, but the short answer is, could journalists just step back and not just think a little? It's just, really, it's not, I'm not diatribing you, okay? I'm not picking on you, but you asked me a question. And so, let's just just think it through, be skeptical. Don't fall for the bullshit that come out in press releases. Just think it through. And consider the fact that when you look at this report and, Joe Blow of Blow Social Media Consulting says that Twitter is dying because according to this study, growth has gone from 29% per quarter to 27%. So this is the end of Twitter. It's not the end of Twitter, right? And so, I wish you didn't ask this question, but that's a very long answer to, I just want you to do really careful, skeptical analysis. Skeptical analysis. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, everybody give it up for Guy. That was awesome. He's always awesome. Little house.